Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to the mat with a bunch of sparkly goodness and beading inspiration today. I appreciate you guys being here. Look what I got going on, guys. I am about to make a beautiful ladder. We're doing a ladder bracelet today, guys. You know me and my bracelets, and I haven't done a ladder in a minute, so it's time. And I have to do it with this fall palette. So we're still working, by the way, guys, in my Autumn's Embrace, I've been toggling, as you guys know, for a couple of weeks between the last couple of bags I put out. That's because this was the last one. I really wanted to film this because I love a ladder, and I just love bracelets anyway, but these Unakite, these are the last that I have for my bag. And then, my friends, we will do a show and tell Saturday as promised for my finished pieces in my Autumn's Embrace collection, as well as Timeless Devotion and then Sleigh Ride, which we haven't even cracked, or I haven't even cracked open. But many of you have, and by the way, thank you so much for posting your beautiful creations in the community tab and utilizing that. I am here for it. I love it. Thank you guys so much. It inspires me to see the beautiful things that you guys create. So thank you guys for putting up your creations. So guys, we're going to make a beautiful ladder, like I just said, and we're going to get to that in 1 second. But first, let me just mention sleigh ride. I think you guys had a sleigh ride. Most of you, I believe, had a sleigh ride come your way in the last few days. So sleigh ride collection should either be at your door, arriving at your door in the next day or two, or already entered your door. And if you guys have already ripped into that beautiful sleigh ride collection, I'm not mad at you, because I've been a busy little elf, my friends. I've been a busy little elf in all things jewelry with Jen. And the reason is because we're getting ready for my 12 days series, my second annual 12 days of beadmas, gifting, and crafting series. That will run next Friday the 21st through December 2nd, my friends, back to back. So I've got kits up in the store. If you're in my newsletter blast, you will be receiving those emails in the next day or two. Guys, I just been literally just an elf in Santa's workshop. It's just that there's no other way to put it, my friends. No other ways. I've been working, with all my little elf friends here to get beautiful kits and stocking stuffers and all kind of beautiful things for the holiday season up in the store. So I am so excited. So do not forget to stay tuned for Beadmas and pop over to my store and start to grab your kits if you have not already. I think we should. So, my friends, what I'm using from Autumn's Embrace, is I'm just using some of the toggles. I'm just using a couple of the components, or findings, and then I pulled some beads from my stash. The 4mm in the champagne, the Unakite, of course, came from Autumn's Embrace. That's all I have left. These insane crystals, I have to pull them up. Oh my gosh, guys, I found these in my stash. I only have a few left. Look, just a few. And I thought, oh, these will be pretty with the Unakite for like a ladder or a goddess. And we're going to do a ladder, but they're this beautiful, like the perfect pine green. And they match that Unakite beautifully. So I'm using these from my stash, the 4mm champagnes and the gorgeous tan. These are not gray, they're actually tan. And they are a 3mm rondelle. I also am going to be using the magical crimper today, and we're going to use some beautiful soft flex. And I can't think of anything better than fluorite, the color of this wire for this guy. Oh my gosh, that is going to match beautifully. And then we'll do some beautiful leaf charms and a toggle closure. I do have the 5mm oval jump rings today, friends. I hope that they'll fit through my toggle. If not, we'll switch it up. No biggie, no biggie. I also have a couple of wire guardians here today. So that's what I'm working with, guys. So let's get to making something beautiful, shall we? I am going to dump, and then let me get things sorted, and we will start making a beautiful ladder bracelet. Alrighty, my friends, I have sorted all my beads, and let's go ahead and cut our bead stringing wire. So we do need a little extra bead stringing wire for a project like this, and the reason is, if you've never done a ladder, is because we basically lose a little wire as we go, okay? Similarly, a goddess or a split, we lose a little bit of wire, so we don't want to short ourselves, right? this is what I'm going to do. I am going to pull my wire off the spool here. I'm going to fold it in half, wire in half. I am going to go to the end of my ruler, and that's folded in half, and then I'm going to cut it because I do not want to run out. Okay, so we'll cut that right there, and that ensures that I have enough wire to work with, okay? And let me tell you what I'm gonna do today. So today what I'm gonna do, friends, is let's grab a wire guardian and a crimp, okay? And what I'm gonna do is go ahead and we'll feed our wire guardian on. Okay, so up the horseshoe and around and down the other barrel on the horseshoe here. Okay, and then we are going to pull that and we are going to center our wire on that wire guardian there. And then this way it allows me to add my clasp with a jump ring. Now, if you want to add your clasp right on your wire guardian, you can do that too. But I'm going to start it out this way today, just because. And let's see if we get that pretty much centered there. So there is my wire guardian on the end of my wire there, and I'm going to use the magical crimper today. So I have a number 2 crimp tube, fed that down both of my wires. Okay, and we'll go ahead, make sure our wires are uncrossed, and crimp that off. And we'll shape that into a round bead. All right, that part is done. So this is what we have. Now we are going to begin our ladder. And so what I'll do, let me get some things out of the way, is we're going to grab the teeny tots first and get one of those strung down each of my wires. I like to start with a small bead. This way, everything lays next to each other. They're not vying for attention too much. You can use a seed bead or a toho. Okay, so that's what I have there. And we'll get them snugged up as soon as we get the first couple runs on. Okay, so there is the first run, the first 2 beads. Now, you also can do this, guys. You could put your first bead down. You can do that too. And I oftentimes do that. Maybe I'm going to change my mind. Let's say you can put your first bead on to start your ladder down both wires as well. Okay, there's another option right there. And maybe I'll do that because they're so pretty. Maybe we'll just start it that way. Okay, so you can start it either way. All right, let's get those little teeny tots back down each wire here. On a ladder, friends, a couple of pro tips. Warning, coming your way. Another pro tip coming your way, friends, is when you're doing a bracelet like this that requires a lot of flexibility, do use some good bead stringing wire. So I have the 49 strand today. You could also use a 21 strand. Any brand will be fine, but you'll want to use a really flexible wire. You can also accomplish, a ladder with cording. But just speaking of like bead stringing wire, you want to use a 49 strand or a 21 strand. And the other thing to bear in mind is monofilament, guys. I've talked about this before on other projects I've done earlier in the year. Monofilament, guys, is a great product for a flexible bracelet like this. It works. I've done it many times. You just have to ensure you're crimping it correctly. It works. So you can also use some monofilament. Okay, so that's what I have. Now, we can make our little sections right here as big or small as we want. This portion that we're doing right here with the beads on either strand, however many beads we put here determines how wide the outside of our ladder is and how much skin will show through. So we can make that really any size we want. We can put 3, 4, 5 beads. You can even use some larger beads in here. I'm going to do 3 of the 4mm, and then I'm going to end with a 4mm on each strand. And then we will grab, get it on here, a Unakite. And now we're going to do, so that's what I have. And now we're going to do is we're going to grab each wire, and I'm going to take one of my Unakites, I'm going to put it through the bead going from right to left, and then the other tail I'm going to put through the bead going the opposite direction from left to right. So essentially we have a tail coming out either side of the bead, and then we're just going to go ahead and pull. And when we pull, you'll see what happens here is we start to establish our ladder. Look how beautiful that is. Oh my God, I can't even take it. And this is where using colored wire is also just too much fun, because you'll see a peekaboo of your wire on a bracelet like this. Look at that. Now I could have put just 2 beads there if I wanted, but I like that. I like that a whole lot. Now I'm not worried about these 2 not lining up correctly. I'll adjust them. I'll adjust them as we go. Okay, so we are going to repeat that exact same thing. And all I'm going to do in terms of my ladder bead, which is the middle bead, I'm going to alternate between my Unakite and my evergreen crystals, because I don't think I have enough Unakite to go the full length. So safer than sorry, I'm just gonna not test my luck and just go back and forth out of the gate. So I put on a 3mm, and now I'm going to do 3 4mm, and I'm going to put these down, down each strand. And now this is what I have. And now we will grab our next middle bead, which for me is going to be this evergreen crystal. And again, I'm going to put my tail going through the center of the bead, going one direction, and the other tail going through the bead the opposite. So then therefore I have a tail coming out both sides, and then we'll pull. And as we pull, this magic happens. The magic happens, friends. So this is starting to take shape now. Look at this. Is this insane? Isn't that gorgeous? Beautiful. Now again, if you wanted to do just like 2 4mm in between there, that champagne color I have, then that would just make a tighter little hole right there, right? So you'd see less skim through, right? So here's what you'll do, friends. When you are going along, you might see that you have some looseness in a previous beading station here. All you're going to do is simply go above wherever your ladder bead is, okay? And you're going to grab the beads on either side and pull, okay? And what that will do is it will now tighten up the previous station. Now, in order to tighten up the station I just pulled, I'll go up to the previous beads next to that evergreen, and I'll pull. Whoops. And then I'll pull. But you don't want to pull too tight. And that's all you're going to do the whole time. Is just, if you see any gaps or any looseness on any station, just go the station above it, grab your 2 beads next to the middle bead, and just pull, right? And you'll tighten it up. But you don't want it to be too tight. You want it to really have some ebb and flow here. Okay, friends, so I'm going to finish doing this exact thing until I get to the end. It'll be just a minute for you. We'll see you in a second. Basically, for the beads I told you that I'm using, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 loops on my ladder. And that's gonna, vary depending upon your wrist size, but this is perfect for me. Okay, and so now, my friends, I'm on my last run. Okay, so I did a 3mm, 4mm, and a 3mm on each strand. And now I am going to put on my last bead, which is a Unakite. And so again, I'm going to go through one direction with the tail and through the opposite direction of that bead with the other tail, and then we'll pull. And again, we don't want it to be too tight, okay? You can see, can you kind of tell right on my mat why I would choose 49 strand stringing wire today. It's a definite style that requires some movement. I also want you to notice when we folded it in half, our bead stringing wire, and cut it at the beginning, a ruler length. This is all I've got left right here, which is really not very much waste because we still need room to crimp, right? So use a ruler length safely, friends, for any size bracelet, whether you're, a 5, 5.5, 6.5, 6 3/4, or 7 1/4 inch. That's a safe measurement, right? So there we go. And that's what we have. So now I'm going to finish this off just the way I started. So let me dump my findings out here. With a crimp and a wire guardian. So the first thing I need to do is I'm going to put my strands together, okay? And I am going to put a crimp on here. So we'll feed a crimp down here, both wires, okay? And let's pull that crimp down, okay? And now we will do a wire guardian. And we'll only need to put one wire through the wire guardian. We'll let the other one just hang out. So we'll put that wire up the barrel, up and around the horseshoe, down the barrel. Okay, we'll grab that tail. Let's pull that down, and let's get this tail pushed back through that crimp. And I think we can get 3 of these wires through that crimp. Pretty sure. I'm using the Beadalon number 2 crimps. I think I can. Let's see here. If not, there's many ways that we can finish this off. I'll just back it up, but I think I can get it. Yeah. Okay. So let me grab my pliers and pull that tail. So now we have 3 wires going through that crimp, right? Okay. So there we go. So what I would want to do here, friends, is just make sure your wires are not crossed, right? So we put the crimp down both of our wires, fed one wire around that wire guardian, and put that tail right back through, which is this tail over here. So we just want to kind of double check our bracelet, make sure it looks the way we want it to look, okay? And we'll just pull everything one final time. So I'm pulling that one up, and then I'll pull this tail down, which is around that wire guardian, before we crimp. Make sure that looks just the way I want it to look. And so we'll go ahead and crimp. Can use your standard crimping method as well. There we go. Okay, and so now this is just so nice and strong because now there's 3 pieces of wire through that 2x2 crimp. So if you're familiar with the magical crimper, you know, and you would agree, right? It's like the more wire you put through it, that's just what it likes. Okay, and so now we'll go ahead and cut away the excess. And we'll just add our hardware pretty much, guys. And there we go. So that's what I have there. So now it's just a matter of our hardware. So I've got my 5mm jump rings, and I've got a couple also for the leaves. I might just do 2. So let's grab some pliers here, and let's go ahead and put our closure on and our little dangles. So we'll just open up, you can use any jump rings. We'll open up our jump rings. You can use any jump rings that you want. I'm using the ovals just because they're nice and dainty. I hope they fit. We're about to find out. So I'm going to feed that right there. Wire guardian. And we'll pop that on there. Now again, if I need to up my game, I can do that. I may need to. Let's see. I think we're good. And same thing, open and closing some jump rings for some dangles. And I'm going to hang one from, I'm pretty sure these will fit, they're really teeny tiny. I'm gonna hang one from the jump ring on the actual leaf itself was my idea. And I did want to hang it from the wire guardian. So let's add that there. And now I am going to add this one to one of the little sections on the leaf there. And so, let's see. Maybe like halfway down? Something cute like that. I don't know. Yeah, I think so. And then we'll add that and close that up. There we go. So there's my little leaf dangles. Ridiculous. So cute. So cute, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed today's beading inspiration. And we will see you in the next one, my friends. And until then, be blessed.